Good morning. It is Thursday, May 2nd. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Up to the Minute. I'm Sade Campbell. I serve as HCC Strategic Enrollment Communications and Social Media Manager. Pleased to be joined by my co-host, Linda Davis, who serves as HCC's College Operations Manager, Office Manager for HCC Northeast. Good morning, Linda. Need you to unmute for me so the good people can hear your greeting.
Good morning, Sade and everyone.
I'm kind of sad. They asked me to switch with the host yesterday, and that would have given me the opportunity to say it's gonna be May because it was May 1st, and I didn't get to do it. But happy May! It's my birthday month, okay, and that matters to somebody. So I'm letting you know. And it signifies the coming to the end of spring semester and grad season. So happy to have you all join us. Linda, for those who are tuning in for the first time, I need a reminder. How many ways can they catch Up to the Minute?
They can catch us on Houston Community College District's Facebook page, not HCC, and YouTube. We're also on X, LinkedIn, and HCCTV, and you can catch us Monday through Friday at noon, 5, and 10.
All right. Well, for Thursday Family Fun Day, we're talking about a battle for Texas independence from Mexico, which was only the beginning of our state's story. Joining us to talk about that today is Bailey Brantley, who is an educator and interpreter for the San Jacinto Battleground State Historic Site. Welcome to the show, Bailey.
Thank you very much, Sade. I'm happy to be here.
Yes. All right. You and Linda are going to chat in just a second. But first, we're spotlighting HCC Coleman's program to diagnose cancer and other important illnesses. Here to join us today is Dr. Min Hee, professor of Histologic. We had this, I asked her before and it still caught me up. Histologic Technician Program for HCC Coleman's College for Health Sciences. Welcome back to the show, Dr. Hee.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be back to the show.
Yes. And me stumbling over this word is because of what we talked about earlier. Many people have never heard of it. Is when you read something the first time, it's like, okay, never seen that word at my big age. But here we are about to learn something new this morning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always the response when I introduce people what I'm teaching. And then that's, histology.
Yeah, and I think
that's the response.
Right. I think people know the concept, they just didn't know the term. So next month is National Cancer Survivor Month, and clearly diagnosis and early detection is a big part of surviving any illness. And that can start with the work of your team. So if you don't know what it means, I think you're going to start to make the connection. So let's begin with a definition of histology and why it's important.
Sure. Yeah, I'll be happy to let people know what is a histology and what is a histotechnology. And, the histology is the study of the tissue, right? So, like we have skin, lung, brain, and all the organs. And we want to know what exactly the tissue look like, how the cell look like, right? So we need to open that book. So that's what histology is. And then histotechnology is the technical parts. Like, how can we just we received a specimen from a hospital, it's piece of skin. How do you know how the skin cells look like, right? Is that normal cell or cancer cell, right? So then that is the histotechnician will prepare those slides and let doctor to see it and make diagnose.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And a lot of times the names of our programs aren't helping our students make the connection to what career pathways are possible with it. So what does the job market look for one of our students who go through the program? What career opportunities are there?
So the job market right now actually is quite good. So compare before COVID. And so before COVID, it's, the histology field is always a growing field because right now, more people getting older and we have longer lifespan, right? So then, we have all kinds of disease come out. And so that way is we need more like people to help a doctor to make those diagnoses. So it's been always a growing field, but after COVID, right now it's getting like extremely demanding. So, you know, in general, like our student will fulfill our clinical site. But this year, I constantly get requests from even our own clinical site. They ask me, hey, do you have anybody is looking for a job? Can you recommend them and pass out the message to them? And we are desperately need tech, and not like one, some like have 2, 3, like even more. So that is really tells us like, you know, how the job market is.
Yeah, and you know, the biggest thing, so Coleman College, I always re-emphasize this because I think it's the coolest thing that we're the only community college in the medical center, which is nationally renowned. And we always keep our partnerships so tight with the industry partners. So they are coming to us looking for our students. And what does the study time look like? Do we have, are there certificates? Is it a 2-year program? How long can someone expect before to go through the program before entering the job market?
So for us is we are associated program. So students will get their national certificate from ASCP after they finish our program. So we, strictly speaking, we are 5 semesters, a little bit less than 2 years. Then they will be eligible to take the national license exam and then get certified. Then they will be able to work in the lab. So then that means they can work as a histotechnician. So clearly the pay will be increased. But even for some of my students, like I see the current student I have right now, some of them already hired by their clinical site, but they can only work as lab assistant, you know, kind of a little bit lower level position. And after they got certified, then they will be paid as a histotechnician.
That is really promising. And I'm sure that has a lot to do with being connected to being in the heart of the medical center. How else does being there assist with career development for students?
So this is such a great opportunity for, especially, you know, the Houston area, because like you said, we are located inside of a medical center. So we have the affiliation with pretty much all the pathology lab in the medical area. Actually, I should say the Metro Houston area. But the medical center is special is because it's not only have those big institute like a hospital like a Methodist and a Memorial Hermann system, and they also have 2 great, you know, medical school. Like see, we're not only for the hospital side doing diagnosis, we're also doing lots of research. So that is really open opportunity for our students. Like they got really rough training, like for the hospital side, research-based lab, and also some reference lab. So that's our goal. Our goal is like make sure they can get job anywhere they want after they graduate. Yeah. Right. So that's why we want to give them a rough training. So make sure, you know, they be very familiar with the field, like a different like working environment, different mindset for the, you know, the market needs. Yeah.
Absolutely. And fall registration is open. So if you are hearing this and this sounds like something you would be interested in doing, tell anyone who is interested, what are the requirements for entering the program? What does that pathway look like? Do they have to apply to HCC and then apply to the program? What would that process look like?
So the process is they can just directly apply to our program. So they can just log into HCC website and then you search like a histological technician program, then you will see our homepage. And then we have like, you know, the package there to guide the student how to apply. So the only requirement is we have 4 prereq class, you know, basically it's just the English 1, you know, college math and the general biology and HPRS. That is introduction to the healthcare field. So as far as they have this prereq class, then they will be eligible to apply and get into the program.
All right. In its final season for our students, yes, what advice would you give to them to finish strong this semester?
So I think for our student is, my only advice is focus. focus on your study. And I know, our student is not like a traditional student. Lots of them are like a working person, like being mom or dad, they have family and other issues, right? So they have other responsibility in their personal life, but they still want it, like build up a strong career in the future. So that's what I'm saying is they need to focus, right? So kind of like prioritize and what is the most important for now. And then, they can deal with other issues later. And so that is really involving very good time management skills. So then we can, complete everything and get them be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're scrolling and you're watching this, go study. Stop. Go study. Right. But yeah, also tell a friend before you get off of here about the program. We want to thank you, Dr. Minhee, who is HCC Coleman professor for our histology program here at HCC. We'll have info posted after the show for you to learn more about the program. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you. It's a great pleasure being here.
All right. I'm going to kick it over to you and your guest, Linda.
Well, thank you so much, Sharday. And we're moving on to our next guest, Ms. Bailey Brantley, the educator and entrepreneur for San Jacinto Battleground State Historic Site. Welcome to the show, Bailey.
Thank you very much, Linda. I'm happy to be here to share some Texas history.
Well, we're excited. You all recently had a big celebration at the museum with reenactments of the Battle of San Jacinto. So let's talk first about that day in history, and then we'll talk about the events that followed. What can you tell us?
So April 21st of 1836 is when the Battle of San Jacinto occurred. So that's going to be 188 years ago at this point in time. So that was part of our big celebration that we had. And so at the Battle of San Jacinto, the Mexican army met with the Texian or Texan, but at this time, Texian would be the more proper term, on the field of battle. And it was one of the most one-sided victories in the history of the North American continent. So despite the fact that the Mexican army had superior numbers to the Texans, they were able to beat them, basically this better trained military, using a militia made up of volunteers from places throughout the United States as well as in Texas. And so this battle ultimately earns Texas its independence as a republic. And so that's why April 21st is recognized in the state of Texas as San Jacinto Day. And it was a pretty big event in history that had some interesting after effects as well. And so I'm happy to talk to you guys about some of that.
But the capture of Santa Ana didn't happen right away.
It didn't happen right away. So it actually would occur on April 22nd. So the day after the Battle of San Jacinto, they would find him. Specifically, it was a man named James Sylvester who, following the battle, they realized, hey, I don't think we have Santa Ana, right? We have over 700 Mexican prisoners of war, but we don't have the guy, right? The one that's responsible for everything that happened at the Alamo, at Goliad. So they will ultimately find him kind of hiding amongst the marsh on the morning of April 22nd, but they don't know it's him at first. He has done something that's pretty smart, especially for a man that most Texians obviously would like, dead. He has switched out his jacket, which is his big fancy dictator of Mexico outfit, and switches it for a Mexican private's uniform. So whenever they put him on a horse and bring him back to the Texian camp at the battleground, they have no idea it's him until the other Mexican prisoners of war start saluting him, right, and saying El Presidente and saying Santa Ana, right? That blows his cover. And then at that point, they realize, hey, we've got Santa Ana. Let's begin those treaty discussions. Basically, what can we get out of this?
So tell us about the treaties of Velasco.
So the treaties of Velasco were a interesting deal that Sam Houston, as well as President Burnett, who was the interim president of Texas at the time, as well as a few other Texan figures, kind of strike up with Santa Ana. So there's two versions of the treaty. There's the public treaty and the private treaty. Public treaty has more general provisions, things such as the Mexican troops obviously need to withdraw south of the Rio Grande. That's what they're going to delineate at this time as the bottom border of Texas, which is a much much contested thing throughout the next few years. But the private treaty has things that are a little juicier, so to say. So Santa Anna is very aware that the Texians are not pleased with him, right? At Goliad, he does execute all of those prisoners of war, which is something that gets him in trouble with international audiences as well as Texas and Mexico. So to kind of bargain for his life, he's like, I can go back to Mexico, use my position as president or dictator, and try to solidify Texas's existence as an independent republic, no longer a state of Mexico, but as its own independent country. And so that's what these treaties kind of strike up. There's a few other articles. They have 10 articles each. And ultimately, though, these treaties don't exactly get executed in the way that was discussed. So there's a few different provisions that both Mexico and Texas put forth. And on the Texan side, what doesn't necessarily get done is the time span of releasing the prisoners of war, as well as Santa Anna, who will not actually leave this side of North America until November 25th of 1836. So that's quite some time from April 21st. And on the Mexican side, of course, their perspective is that Santa Anna was a prisoner of war, being forced to sign these treaties. And so they do not ultimately recognize Texas as an independent republic. And they won't for the next 10 years until 1845, when the Mexican-American War will begin. And of course, America annexes Texas into the Union.
So this was the departure of the Mexican forces from Texas.
Yes, that's correct. So it starts it, right? So that's part of the discussion with the treaties of Velasco, as well as these agreements that these men are making following this monumental battle. And so the Mexican forces that were captured at Battle of San Jacinto were not the only people in the, we'll call it state right now, but in the Republic. There was actually 4,000 other Mexican troops who very well could have actually gone and stormed the Texans and most likely won, especially with those numbers, right? You're dealing with about 800 Texan men. So 4,000's a lot bigger. And this is something that's on all of their minds. So you specifically have General Filisola, who is the one that's kind of given command over the Mexican army after Santa Anna's capture. He is kind of for listening to Santa Anna's orders to retreat, right? But another general, General Urrea, does not really want to do that. He says, we have the numbers. We could, kind of rectify this defeat and go back in. So there's a bit of back and forth with that, but ultimately the Mexican soldiers will return to Mexico south of the Rio Grande as agreed upon. But it's not a fast process. A lot of the way it's presented is once Santa Anna goes and talks to Sam Houston when he's laid up under the surrender tree with his injured ankle, a lot of the way that people talk about it makes it seem like it was a fast situation, but this is weeks of deliberation and communication.
Wow. So what was the fate of Mexican prisoners of war in Santa Anna?
So the fate of the Mexican prisoners of war will depend basically on your background, right? So are you somebody that's got a little bit more connections, or are you just, a normal person, right? A general soldier. And so some of these soldiers will ultimately be moved to Liberty Island, Galveston, and they will remain there for a while, up until August about of 1836. So though some people did actually stay longer, we actually right now have a special exhibit in the San Jacinto Museum that talks about the aftermath of the Battle of San Jacinto. And so an interesting example I wanted to share was a man named Sergeant Francisco Becerra. He actually will be a prisoner of war held in Liberty Island, but they actually kind of contracted out their work a little bit. And so he'll work with various different people in Texas and ultimately actually will remain in Texas. And he will actually even go on to fight with the Texas Rangers at a later point in his life.
Wow.
So it really depends. Santa Anna, on the other hand, people will, of course, want to execute him for various things that he's done throughout the Texas Revolution. And so there's a bunch of kind of almost Looney Tunes kind of stuff that happens. They'll chain him to a tree at one point to prevent his execution and from him being stolen basically by an angry mob, which whenever they're about to load him on a boat in June of 1836, an angry mob will come up demanding for his execution. But ultimately, he gets out of this area by traveling to Washington, D.C. And Andrew Jackson is the one who intercedes to get him out of
Okay.
the United States.
Well, we Texans know all about the Alamo.
Right.
And we know about the Battle of San Jacinto, but little is
Right.
known about the Texas and Mexico during the Texas Republic period. What can you tell us?
So there is, in the Republic period of Texas, which lasts for about 10 years, it's not all smooth sailing just because the Mexican army lost at San Jacinto, right? They still are aware that they have some military superiority. And so they'll think about that a little bit. And I mean, in terms of numbers, right? There will be a few exchanges that happen throughout this time. Specifically, there is one battle in 1842 that will occur with General Rafael Vasquez, and about 700 Mexican troops will actually attempt to take San Antonio. And they do succeed briefly. So there's a few exchanges such as that throughout the Republic period, but there's never anything quite on the scale of the Texas Revolution. But this whole time, Mexico does not recognize Texas as an independent republic. They say you're still a state, you're just in rebellion.
Oh, wow. So talk to us really quickly about the San Jacinto and the Mexican-American War. 60 seconds or less.
So, absolutely. So the Battle of San Jacinto indirectly is responsible for a good portion of the Mexican-American War, because in 1845, when Texas is annexed, if Texas had still been a Mexican state, obviously that wouldn't have happened, right? They wouldn't have wanted to give up this enormous section of land. And so that is kind of why we connect San Jacinto to the Mexican-American War, because it sort of served as a trigger.
Okay, well, we thank you so much, Bailey Brantley, educator and entrepreneur for San Jacinto Battleground State Historic Site. We'll have your information in our post after the show. Thank you again for educating us on the battle. Sade?
Absolutely.
All right, fascinating details. We're going to end things with news and events across HCC. Going to kick things off with the Honors Music Recital. This recital represents the final concert for the performing arts for advanced instrumentalists and vocalists, showcasing their repertoire and skills they have developed and mastered throughout the semester. It'll be happening today at 7:30 p.m. at HCC Central Campus Theater. Registration is not necessary, and details will be posted after the show.
A Taste of Dance, HCC Northwest Performance. For the final student performance, students will be performing solos that they choreographed, as well as choreographed by guest artists. It'll be 7:30 p.m. Friday, May 3rd at the Spring Branch campus, and registration is not necessary. Everyone's welcome. Check out our post after the show for more information.
All right, keeping in theme with the arts, we have music auditions. Those interested in furthering their music education can attend HCC's Music Student Auditions, which is an opportunity to learn about the program, take the music theory placement exam, and meet the performing arts department chair and faculty. They are also having open admission, so it's open to high school, transfer, and new students. It'll be happening 1:30 to 3:30 this Saturday, May 4th at HCC Central's Fine Arts Center. Details will be posted after the show.
Grad Fest, calling all spring graduates. Graduates can join HCC Student Life for Graduate Fest to record a shout out to be shared during the commencement ceremony, take pictures with Swoop, and decorate your grad caps. So please bring your caps and share some good times with your fellow graduates. The last one is 12:30 to 1, Tuesday, May 7th, Northeast Campus Learning Hub. Check out our post after the show for more information.
All right, put a little pep in your step. The year-end review process for 2023-2024 is underway. All of our full-time employees must have their performance review documents with the status of acknowledged by June. For additional information about the PEP process, visit My HCC and click the Performance Excellence Program page under Getting Started with PeopleSoft. There you'll find step-by-step action steps, or you can contact your talent relations senior partner. The deadlines are June 1st for 9-month faculty and part-time adjunct faculty, and June 30th for 10-month full-time faculty and full-time faculty and staff. Details will be posted after the show.
Well, I'm going to let you guys in on a secret. It's no secret. Fall registration is now. It's open right now today. Registration for fall semester has now officially started, with regular and smaller semesters offered in a variety of programs. Like all HCC courses, summer and fall, they're offered online anytime, online on schedule, hybrid, which is partially face-to-face and partially virtual, in-person and hybrid labs. To learn more about HCC programs, start dates, and option to cover costs, visit hccs.edu/apply.
All right, well, coming up for Film Friday, we'll welcome back the Aurora Picture Show, and we'll welcome HCC's Small Business Development Program to talk about its upcoming supplier and vendor support workshops. Thanks so much for joining us for this edition of Up to the Minute. We'll see you next time.